Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Deb Cameron here, and you are watching Consequence.
Hello. Hi, I'm Mary. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How's your day going?
It's been great. How about yours?
Really good, really good. It's been a very intense week playing catch up with the song, so it's really nice to be like seated and yeah, talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to dive right in, I'm sure it's been kind of a whirlwind because you weren't planning to release the song when you did, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really funny. It's people keep being like, "Where's the video?" And I'm like, somewhere in the ether of my brain. It's such a weird. I don't think people really like. It's not. We don't usually talk about how much effort goes into releasing a song and teeing it up for it to do as well as we all hope it does. So now like doing it retroactively we're all like we're doing it's like no days off, it's video after
Right.
video and stuff, all that stuff, right? Which is it's wonderful. It's like such a great reason to be working so much, but it's also like we're trying to get everything out as quick as possible, and it's definitely a weird way to do it, I would
Yeah,
say.
because you had the song blow up first, like almost organically on TikTok.
No, it was actually completely organically. And I can say that because I keep saying that to myself in the mirror, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like I keep being like, it makes absolutely no sense.
It's
It was
amazing.
one of these things where, yeah, it's really amazing. It's just also, there's something about it, I think, because I came from, when I was younger, I started out on a network, right? So like everything in my career has always been, I'm like a Capricorn and a planner. So like I always know when things are coming and like what the plan is for the year and whatever. So when Boyfriend started blowing up, I think my brain like broke in half. I was like, what are we gonna do about this? It was like I almost like panicked. I was like, this wasn't supposed to happen. So I can really attest to the fact that like the organic nature of the song's success is like, we just started the promo like 2 days ago. So it's been really, really wild to have that happen like that. Really
Yeah.
fulfilling, really exciting. Yeah.
Definitely. That must be just really lovely to see, especially because this and the subject matter and it just came from kind of a personal place. So it was probably so great. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about how it felt to see it resonate with people and just kind of catch like wildfire, because I feel like especially that topic and kind of like embracing queerness, it's been really prominent in the past couple of years. I just feel like for some reason lockdown prompted a lot of things for a lot of people, and so I was just curious myself, seeing how it caught on, how that must have felt for you.
That's such a good point. Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think that lockdown, I mean, yeah, there's so much to cover in that, but like first and foremost, I think that lockdown prompted a lot of introspection for a lot of people that were kind of just used to their daily routines and grinds, and like they weren't really checking in with themselves as much, me included, I think the world included. And I think a lot of people kind of took stock of who they were and where they wanted to go, and things that they hadn't quite processed I think that definitely like the conversation about queerness has broadened quite a bit. And I keep kind of pinching myself. Like yesterday, we filmed something very cool that I can't talk about quite yet, but I was talking to one of my band members, my new band members, because the band has suddenly gotten much bigger. And I was talking to one of my band members, and she is queer. And we were talking about like how emotional it is to have a queer song infiltrate the general public and also be on top 40 radio. And like, I think today it's number 13 on Spotify Global. And every day I have to kind of like, emotionally bloodlet a little bit. Growing up queer, this was never, I never saw this happening. And I never like, I just never, there were no songs for me to look at and be like, that applies to me. And also I think that is a huge part of the queer development, like my relationship with my sexuality and how I view myself was so colored by like what I was exposed to growing up. Like, it was like I always knew that I was what I would have probably identified. I probably would have identified as bi ever since I could remember, like 8 years old and above. Because I always also had girlfriends at the same time that I had boyfriends. I always knew that about myself. I was never confused. But I think that my understanding of myself in terms of my sexuality, beyond just like these are the people that I date, has broadened so much in the last few years. And it is directly correlated to what I'm exposed to, my communities, the conversations I'm having. And so just to have a queer song be so conversational in the same way that, you know, a man would sing about a woman or a woman would sing about a man up until recently is so healing for me. I was like, why can't we just release like a queer gaze, you know, like romantic one night only kind of song. So it's been really, really healing for me in that way to see the success of the song. And also just something that is so like literally off the pages of my diary.
Right.
Meeting with people in their homes. It's just like, it really is, it's been such a trip. But it means a lot,
That is so great. That's awesome. And I'm also curious, like you said, with your background, I would love to hear a little bit about how it is flexing this muscle of music and developing music and aesthetics and the videos to go along with that, because you've been on stage, you've been on the screen. And so I know a lot of those things kind of tie together, but what's it like flexing this muscle in particular right now?
It's been really amazing. Thank you. Really amazing question. Because up until now, like, I think the way that the song happened so accidentally and the way that we had to put it out months early and the way that like, it was really me and my producer, Evan, and my little weird diary. And like, it was so small. It feels like small town mom and pop shop that like suddenly someone was like conglomerate and we're like, okay, like sure. And so because it was like that and there was no engineering behind it, it's been really great because now I definitely feel like, I mean, all my conversations with my label are like, so, okay, so what do you see for the video? And like, what do you want to do for this? What do you want to wear? Which is not to say that like, it wasn't like that before, but it's just been so, it's so obvious that like the thing that like happened was so small that now we're keeping it that way because that's the only thing that works, right? Like, there's nobody else's hand involved in the creative and like you said, like the aesthetics, and like, it's just really great because I've always wanted that kind of like, this is what I see. And then like, I show up on Monday and then there it is. Like, right. And that's always been like my dream for myself. Like I was speaking to my mother about this and crying fits of tears, being like, the reason that you want something to work is to then grant yourself the creative freedom to find yourself suddenly in the rooms where you can be the person calling the shots. Because I think as a creative, your dreams are that you get to see your visions come to life and you're the one who gets to really fledge that out. So the way that this happens so organically, it's really kind of afforded me that leg room and the trust with my label and the trust with the other creatives I work with. So, you know, if it doesn't work, it's all on me, but that's like very exciting. I think that's really great. I've always wanted that.
Yeah, because then when it does work, you can say, this was my vision come to life.
Yeah. You feel more like your middle school self than ever. Like even just like the music video that we just shot, the shots on that list, I was looking at, I was like, I have had that on my to-do list since I was like 10. And now we just did it. Like, that's just amazing to me.
Oh, that makes me so happy. So I know we're still a couple weeks out from the video and that a lot of the things about it are still quite under wraps, but is there anything you can share about it right now?
Oh, let me think about that. And this is another funny thing because I'm so used to like studios telling me what I can and can't say. So now I'm like, oh, right. What do I want to say? Yeah, it's really exciting. I definitely, what I can say is that, it was very important to me that, you know, it's a queer love story from a queer perspective. And it's like, you know, I found this unbelievably talented co-star, her name is Charlene, who was just magical and charismatic and wonderful and a star in her own right. And I really wanted it to feel, you know, like we were watching these two people find a genuine connection, and it doesn't feel male gaze, and it doesn't feel objectifying, and it doesn't feel engineered or like someone's idea of what a queer love story would be. It's still very sexy and it's still very grimy, and it's inspired by a lot of my favorite films and things like that. And found an amazing director, Lauren Sick, who's just, you know, sick, no pun intended. And it's all very, very queer and very women oriented. And I'm really excited for everybody to see it.
That's great. And this song arrives ahead of an EP, is that right?
We're figuring that out right now. I think we're still figuring out what is the plan for the year, because again, we were like so unbelievably unprepared for this. And so I think the conversation every day is kind of like, you know, what's the next big step? What are we working towards? What kind of touring do we want to do in the future? And like, what is I have a lot that I've written now that like, you know, very much lives in the same world as boyfriend. I like sat down and wrote it all in the same week. And so I was like in the same kind of headspace. And I think definitely you should expect a single before a body of work, because I have everything like all lined up that I want to do. But then going forward after that, I'll have to keep you posted on what kind of body of work I'm working on.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So one of my favorite questions to ask in almost every conversation I have like this, I love knowing just from creative people, if there was anything in the past few months or even the past year in particular, like a film you saw or a book you read or an album you heard that was just like the creative jolt that you needed, or like that electric shock back to your system, if there was anything that really inspired you in the past few months.
I love that question. You are
I do too.
great. We're about to have a picnic. I'm like,
I'll bring a bottle of wine. I feel like we need a little more time for sure.
Charcuterie board. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, so many things, and it really is always that. I think that's the amazing thing about working on so many mediums is like, I'll watch something or I'll hear something, or like it can come from anywhere. I mean, definitely, I think like moving to New York was the creative jolt that I needed. Like I have a place in LA as well, because my mother was just like, I will die before you're that far away from me. I was like, fair enough. But definitely moving to New York was incredibly inspiring to me. I think probably, I mean, I rediscovered Ali X and Sin. I'm a huge fan of Sin. I definitely think like, you know, there's a lot of like, I've been having this kind of resurgence of this like 60s kind of sound, this very like, there's a few people like, and it doesn't actually have to be literally, like a lot of what I listen to actually is 60s and 70s throwback stuff, because I think that the instrumentation, not disco, but like the instrumentation of the more organic sounds of that era, they were so experimentative and so wacky and so off the wall, and so still very like, there's a lot of very heavy jazz influences, but then some of it was like, you know, there's lots of like primal screaming and like this like weird hodgepodge mix of styling that I find really inspiring about 60s and 70s sounds in particular. But I'm trying to think of like specific things. I mean, also like, you know, I get weird, like the Matrix Resurrection or Matrix, what is it? The most recent Matrix film?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had to watch that in pieces. I was like, what are they doing? Like the satire. I'm a huge like futurism and action fan.
Yeah.
And I've always been
like meta narrative was amazing.
Thank you. Oh my God. I just had a conversation about this. They were like, somebody was saying that they were like, it was so literal. I was like, the whole thing was meta on meta on meta on meta. And like the comedy and the self-awareness and the camp of it all. I was like, yes. I had to pause it over 100 times to be like, does everyone in the room, are you guys all feeling what I'm feeling right now? This is wild. Like I could cry thinking about how much I love creatives creating intelligently for themselves and knowing the audience is going to get it. I'm like, yes. that really got me. But yeah, I mean, definitely there's like a whole lot of stuff. I just started watching actually the other day. I started watching Severance, the new
I haven't gotten into that.
I just started watching it and it is like so up my alley. I love, first of all, Ben Stiller is an incredible director. I had no idea. I was watching it. I was like, okay, Ben Stiller, come through. But it's so off-putting and strange. And I love all the actors involved. And that kind of thing is very inspiring to me. The kind of like wacky, kind of almost villainous, like ugly, weird flip side of humanity. That makes me like, ooh, I need to get in the studio right now.
Yeah. Love it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It's like one of my favorite questions because I just feel it always yields such interesting answers. I love knowing like what has been inspiring people lately. But is there anything that we haven't touched on that you're like, I can't talk about my music without talking about this? Is there anything else that you'd really want to mention?
Oh, interesting. I mean, yes, there's a few things that I wish I could talk about, but I would ruin a lot of fun surprises. I guess I would just say, yeah, we have like so much good stuff coming, and we have a lot of, like I said, a lot of like kind of like very fun surprises and Easter eggs, and yeah, I don't know, keep an eye out. We're doing a lot right now, a lot behind the scenes. And I think it's going to be a very exciting year.